Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning the Nedarim, page 26, which discusses within the conversation of making a valid vow or valid neder in a situation where a person sees someone eating your figs and you don't like when your figs are being eaten, and because of that you make a vow against all these people. And it turns out you find out that among those people were your brothers, was your father, and you certainly had no intention of including them. So the question is that once you are including all the people together, and then you find out afterwards that among them are people that you really would not have made forbidden, you would not have made a vow against them. So on this there is a question of, do we say that since part of the vow is removed regarding your family, do we say that the entire vow is completely removed as well? And this is discussed at great length throughout this entire page, and within it, it discusses another question. When it comes to a person who makes a statement, the first statement, they say a temuras ola, and then second, they make a statement of temuras shlamim. Now, over there in a different tractate in Temura, it discusses exactly what is a temura, which has to do with removing the sanctity of one animal onto another one, which, even though it's true, it does take that level of sanctity on the new animal, but the law is, even though a person may not realize it, the sanctity remains on the first one as well. And when a person makes this statement, they actually said contradictory statements. First, they mention an ola, which is an elevation offering, and that's something which is completely consumed on the altar. Completely. It's not eaten at all, not by the person who brought it, not by the Kohanim. And then he made a statement regarding a shlamim, which is a peace offering. Some people explain the reasoning for why it's called a peace offering is because it's something in which is shared by many. It's on the altar, certain parts, but in addition to that, the Kohanim, the priests that are engaged in the service in the temple, they eat some of it, and also the owners. But the question is, if you make two totally contradictory statements, what exactly do we say? Do we say that we should go after your first language, and we don't care what you say afterwards? Or do we say, no, maybe he changed his mind? And this is actually a dispute. There are those who say, Rabbi, that we go only after your first language. Your first thing that you say is what matters the most. And yet there's another opinion, that of Rabbi Yossi, that we will listen to what this person said afterwards as well. And again, although of course this seemingly doesn't have much to do with things that we could apply in our lives, because we don't have the temple, we don't have offerings, but nonetheless, it does teach us a very important concept. We know that people talk about first impressions, and you can only make a first impression one time, and you want to make sure you make a good first impression. So the question is that, let's say you made a great first impression, so you're in good shape, hopefully. However, let's say it didn't go so well, and maybe you could impress someone, for example, in an interview, if you're given a second opportunity. Is that really going to help? And the idea, according to Lisa Meyer, is that we have to be very careful the very first time that we speak. Even though sometimes we can correct ourselves, but nonetheless, it's the first language that has the strongest impact. That's something which is most important. That's what's most remembered, and therefore, because of that, again, one must be very careful of how they speak. However, it's possible a person could always retract. It's possible, according to Rabbi Yossi, that you have the opportunity to be able to change your mind, to explain, to be able to given this other opportunity. Of course, a lot of times in real world, you may not be given that second chance. You may not be given that second opportunity. And therefore, one has to be very careful the very, very first time a person speaks to make sure, not just in a job interview, but at any time, that whatever a person says, you have to say it correctly the first time.